drove down early this morning, and that is the reason for these right here. So again, my name is Jana Francis, and I'm the founder and president of a Daily Deal website called Steals.com. We have 4 Daily Deal websites within the Steals.com family. Many of you that have babies and kids have probably heard of BabySteals.com or KidSteals.com. And we also have ScrapbookSteals.com, and then a site that's all dedicated toward women's products, which is called SheSteals.com, which you'll see in a moment. I'm a mom of 3 kids, and when I didn't necessarily, as I started my career at KSL.com for almost 8 years, and I had always worked for someone else. This is the very first business that I've ever started. And in my career at KSL, I was the sales manager. I had a lot of different jobs at KSL because I kept moving up through the ranks, but I was the local sales manager for KSL News Radio, 102.7 and 1160 AM, as well as FM 100s and Arrow 103.5. And part of the time there, toward the end of my career at KSL, the last 3 years, I was the director of sales on the KSL News Radio side for KSL.com. And I was responsible for coming up with lots and lots of different content and ideas in order to generate revenue for KSL.com. And one of which was, for example, if you've ever texted KSL News Radio to 57500, I was the one that kind of pushed those old guys into that idea. No offense to the old guys there, but they really didn't. Back in the 2007 and 8, text messaging, when I got it started, was absolutely not a thing that a lot of people did as far as communicating with media in that way. So that being said, while I was at KSL, I believed in one thing as it related to marketing and advertising. And I preached this a lot to advertisers as well as to my staff, and that was concentration in advertising. Meaning, if you need to go out and buy some sort of ad campaign, whether it's on radio or television or the newspaper, you're much better off when you concentrate that message to a specific niche. Meaning, another example is instead of putting, let's say you have a $1,000 budget or $5,000, you're better off putting all that money in one place versus doing $100 here and spreading it out. And I taught this concept a lot at KSL to our advertisers, but when KSL.com really became a thing, it was an unheard of thing to actually concentrate your digital marketing, because most advertisers believed that if you were going to run an ad on the website, that you would just do what they called a run of sight, meaning however many clicks the page gets, I'm going to get this many of them. And I believe truly that concentration on digital media would work the same and just as effectively online as it does on radio and television. And I was able to prove that theory right over the course of a couple years with many advertisers in Salt Lake City that were willing enough to listen to me and believe in my idea. So that was one thing that was happening in my career. I love and I'm very passionate about marketing, advertising, and digital marketing especially, because that is where the future is going. So I had 2 young boys, or 2 boys, one was 6 and one was 12, and I finally found myself pregnant with my 3rd child, and it was a little girl. And I was, of course, a busy mom and had a demanding career, so I started looking online for the latest and greatest products, because in 6 years, a lot of things changed in the baby world. And as and believe it or not, I mean, this was in 2006 and 7, and e-commerce at the time was very infantile, forgive my pun, but it was really just, it has expanded and improved so much over time since then. But at the time, it was a picture and a price for a diaper bag or for a stroller. It wasn't really a lot of descriptions around why this car seat and not that car seat, why this brand and not that brand. And it was really frustrating to me, and especially as a busy mom, I didn't have a lot of time to do this. So I thought, well, God, there's got to be some kind of a website that really just spoon feeds you one thing a day and gives it to you at a great deal, and really keeps you in the know that they already know what's hip and trendy, but they kind of give it to you. And when I realized that that didn't exist, because I looked for it, I decided to create it. And then 18 months later, a website called BabySteals.com was born out of my garage, and the little desktop computer in the basement of my house. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. I've never said it that way. Anyway, so I had an idea, and I made it happen. And when, as an entrepreneur, you start to realize there's a couple different types, and we'll get into that later about the two different kinds of entrepreneurs. But as far as, so, you know, I had an idea and I made it happen. And by the way, Baby Steals was the very first Daily Deal website for women. It was before Groupon existed, so it wasn't like I thought, oh, they have a cool idea, I'm going to take it and adapt it for me. There was no such thing. And so you know, being a busy mom of three, and I'm looking for all these things online. I realized, okay, concentration in marketing works. I'm looking for someone to spoon feed me something daily. What if I create a website that's niche and do that curation for other people? Because if there's a lot more people out there in the world like me that want the same thing. And what if I gathered these high quality brands that really needed a place to tell their story without a huge marketing budget, and give them concentration in marketing online, meaning one deal a day, as you'll see here. Let's see. So as you can see, so this is one of our websites, shesteals.com. And as you'll see, that's the only thing there is to buy today. This actually isn't today's deal, but that brand, CloudWalk, was the only possible thing to buy, at least as the daily deal. And that brand gets a tremendous amount of exposure to women shoppers throughout the world. And you can imagine you can click to our other websites. When you visit our website, you see a link to Baby Steals, Kid Steals, and Scrapbook Steals as well. And the brands that are featured are up for 24 hours. So every day at 9 a.m., there's a high quality product up at the best deal online until it sells out or until we have a new deal the next day. If it sells out, new deal at 9 a.m. every day in this time zone. And you can also, there's some past deals and stuff. If we didn't sell out, you can still combine a lot of things in your cart. But anyway, so I thought, well, if concentration in marketing works for digital marketing for KSL.com, I bet it's going to work, because that's at the niche. Full-time employees in Salt Lake City, 2 in Costa Rica. We've shipped 2.5 million orders throughout the world, and we were able to turn that $5,000 into $70 million in revenues, which is pretty exciting. I haven't made that much money, I swear, but revenue-wise. So that being said, when I was talking about the two different kinds of entrepreneurs, they're the type of entrepreneur that have an idea and a need for themselves, and they go out and they create it because they're passionate about that thing, or they're knowledgeable about that idea. And as you could tell, I was able to make my obsession my profession. There's other types of entrepreneurs, which we won't necessarily go into today, but the type that see opportunity instead of an idea. They see an opportunity, a hole in the market, and they go and they get investors, and they rally with a big team of people with a whole bunch of money, and they create it with an exit plan. And that's not the type of entrepreneur we're going to talk about. That doesn't mean that the personality traits are any different. It's just that I'm not familiar with that because I didn't start my journey into entrepreneurship with that in mind. Perhaps I should have, which is kind of why I get teary-eyed. We're getting spanked by the big guys. It's really hard to compete online with Amazon and some competition that have come up in the last several years with, you know, $500 million in funding. And I still to this day have built this company with no investors and no loans. And that, by the way, originally was on purpose. We did not want to get an investor because I knew that they would kill my business model. And I knew that long term, this type of a model was going to work for busy people. Who has time to sit and shop online nonstop all day, which is what a lot of these other websites rely on. And Amazon, I love Amazon, by the way. I use it tremendously. But with Amazon, you go there because you know exactly what it is that you want already. But where do you go to discover what it is that you want in the first place? And that is what my website's about. So, let's see here. So this is a little bit of our mantra at steals.com. It's not just a deal, it's a steal is one of our mission statements. And what that means to us is that there's thousands of deals online every day. Thousands, but it takes a lot more than a good price to get a deal. It takes a high quality product, fast shipping, amazing customer service to get a steal. And we're very passionate about that at steals.com. And our other mission statement, and I don't have a slide for that, is we send joy. we pride ourselves on creating a heartbeat behind e-commerce and connecting with our customers in a very unique way. And my customer service staff and social media staff is paid to do one thing, and that's to care. There are no scripts, there are no guidelines, there are no rules in our customer service department. They're paid on quality, not quantity. It's completely opposite. I will never be hired to teach customer service because it's not efficient the way we do it at all. Most customer service departments train you and benefit you and bonus you on speed and how fast you actually get that get your calls or your emails answered, and we're completely opposite. We look at, well, did you invite them to what I call the second party, meaning if they wrote in about whatever it is, did you give them some other reason to join us either on Facebook or on Instagram or watch my live Periscopes, something. Invite people to engage with us again and do it in a very authentic manner. As a matter of fact, just yesterday, one of our customers who doesn't spend a ton, but she bought a lot of stuff for her upcoming baby and she had a miscarriage. And so we refunded all of the money on everything she bought on babysteals.com and sent her flowers. And that's not a very efficient thing to do either, but at the same time, I doubt that, I know for sure that when she got that, she knew that there was people out there that supported and cared for her. And that's what We Send Joy really means to us. It's a lot more than shipping people cool, amazing products at a good deal. So. All right, so now that you know a little bit about me and my company, let's talk about entrepreneurship. And again, I did not ever really anticipate being an entrepreneur. I never thought, okay, one day I'm going to start my own business. It came out of a need, as I said. And it's really difficult to teach entrepreneurship because there really isn't, there's not like a tactic or a skill. And it's not teaching spreadsheets and finance and that kind of thing. And entrepreneurs really have to have the guts and the care, as you can tell, very passionate about their ideas so much that when you talk about it, you sometimes cry. But you have to be confident enough to stand up and try to make change and to get people in on your idea. And it's not a course that you can take, really. It's the essence of your personality and how you execute on an idea. So anyway, let's see here. What are you? Okay, so let's talk about contributors first, which is at the bottom of that slide. A contributor is what I always was in my career. I was someone who worked for someone else for a specified period of time. They took all the risk. I just got my paycheck and worked for them. And that, for some people, is a great idea. And it was for me at that time in my life, meaning I want someone else to tell me what to do at all times, and I'm going to go and do it. And there's nothing wrong with that at all, because that works really great for some people's personalities. Because you don't want to have to worry about work when you get home, or you don't want to have to feel pressured at all times to work constantly. And there is a lot of that in jobs and careers, and I definitely had that at KSL. I did not go home at 5, and I did not stop working on weekends, but I was in an executive position, and that was just what was required. And that's my personality as well, as you probably can tell. So that's a contributor, somebody who works on their own time for someone else on their own time. And then there's freelancers. Now this is where it gets tricky, because I hear a lot of people say, I'm an entrepreneur, what do you do? I'm a graphic designer. Oh, you are, okay. So in my mind, that's a freelancer, because you may own your own business and work for yourself, but it's a freelancer because you are actually getting paid to work on your own time, but for someone else. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that either. That can be very, very freeing and extremely profitable. But like graphic designers, website designers, writers, bloggers, you name it, people that get paid to do when they're working by someone else. And then there's entrepreneurs. And in my mind, entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs for one thing. They build a business bigger than themselves, and they get paid or lose money when they're not even there. And technically you could say get paid when they sleep. They build something that's bigger than themselves, an asset, a machine that even if they're not there, it's still running. And that's the way I look at entrepreneurship. But the real determination in my mind is, like I said at the bottom there, who decides what you work on? Okay, so Here's some skills, in my mind, that entrepreneurs need to have in order to be successful. You have to understand people really, really well. You have to be comfortable making every decision, because at the end of the day, if you're the boss, it's all entirely up to you. You have to be comfortable passing those decisions on to other people. That's actually one of the most difficult things as you grow. You have to work ridiculously hard. Ridiculously hard. You have to be very confident. You have to be comfortable with risk, really resourceful, competitive, very creative, curious, and you need to be a leader. So Seth Godin, how many people are familiar with Seth Godin? He's amazing, by the way. And if you don't know who he is, I highly suggest. He has a blog that's it goes right to your email every morning, and it's just small bits of just motivation around entrepreneurship or running businesses, and he's amazing. And this is what he says about entrepreneurship. Studying entrepreneurship without doing it is like studying the appreciation of music without listening to it. The cost of setting up a lemonade stand, or whatever metaphorical equivalent you dream up, is almost 100% internal. Until you confront the fear and discomfort of being in the world and saying, here, I made this, it is impossible to understand anything at all about what it means to be an entrepreneur or an artist. So I'm going to go back a little bit and talk a little bit more about following your passion. Online entrepreneurs, a lot of people ask, this is the number one question I get, what is it that I need to know in order to start my own online company? Number one question I get. And my biggest advice to everyone is, e-commerce is really hard. It looks very simple, especially a daily deal site. How hard can that be? One thing a day. And you have to really, especially online, you have to know so many things from start to finish. You have to know the programming languages in order to code the website in. You need to know a lot about usability, UI, UX. You need to know about product sourcing and buying and warehousing and fulfillment and shipping and accounting and finance and marketing and HR and recruiting. And there's a lot that you need to learn. But it's not impossible. It's very doable. And my advice to anyone that asks me is, A, I tell them all the things that I just told you that you really need to understand and know, but B, you need to also know people and that know those things and be very resourceful and be able to, because that's one key of a really successful entrepreneur, is not seeing roadblocks and being resourceful. So, and hiring people better than them at specific tasks. Okay, so, through my journey in entrepreneurship, I've learned a lot. And I wrote a blog post one night on my 7th year as I got home from work for probably the 6th night in a row at 1:30 a.m. And I sat in my garage and my brain just spilled onto a piece of paper, actually into my iPhone notes, of what I've learned 7 years in. And I published it on LinkedIn, so if I'm not going to read all of them because it's kind of lengthy, but if you're more than willing to go to my LinkedIn page and look for my post, it's the only post I've ever done, just because I don't spend my days doing that, but I didn't want to get it out there. So if you just look me up, Jana Francis on LinkedIn, you'll be able to find that post. But I'm going to read some of those now. Okay. All right. So here are some of the things. I call this Confessions of an Entrepreneur, and actually you can probably find it by Googling it as well. And how close are we on time? How much time do you want to go have? Because I want to leave a few minutes for Q&A.
Got 20, 25 minutes.
Oh, excellent. Okay. So I've learned that since you're the boss and you're not able to share your feelings about particular situations with people anymore, that is quite often a very lonely feeling. And what that means is when you're the boss, you have to internalize a lot. You don't necessarily have that cheerleader or that person that you can talk to that really understands what you're going through. And you have to be really professional about stuff. And you can't really, quite often, some things you're feeling you can't necessarily do because of the business or say. I've learned that people look at the life of an entrepreneur and they think they want that for themselves, but they don't understand the risk and hard work that really comes with it. I've I've learned it makes you feel like you're being taken advantage of when employees take your company and their jobs for granted. Don't they know that this started from nothing? I've also learned to quickly eliminate those that feel that way. So I'll give you a little background on that. This contributor freelance entrepreneur thing that I just went through is something I'm looking for as I'm interviewing someone. There are certain positions in my company that I need contributors, absolutely, in our warehouse and customer service. But I'm usually looking for someone that's very entrepreneurial minded, because I don't tell people what to do at work every day. I give them the end goal, and then they're responsible for figuring out how to get there. We made some early on hiring mistakes, hiring people that were very entrepreneurial in jobs that were technically contributor jobs, like I just mentioned. And so what I discovered happened was, I'll give you an example of a quote that I heard once. "Oh my gosh, if I hear Jana say one more time that sales is the way we make money, I'm gonna freak out, people, because guess what? Companies just pay their employees, don't they just know that?" So, yeah, weird. I mean, I have quotes that I could go on for hours, but most of that is immaturity, but it's also an inexperience as well. But you won't believe how many people that get jobs don't realize that what you created came from nothing. And they need to go be a contributor somewhere else, because yes, there is safety. Go work at a bank, 9 to 5, in and out. There's no pressure necessarily to do anything above and beyond. Anyway, I've had many experiences like that over the years. Let's see. I've learned that it is very easy to critique your boss, but when you become one, you are finally able to relate to decisions you've seen your old bosses make in the past that you judged at the time. And so, I am so guilty of this. There are so many times in my previous jobs where I thought, well, that's so not right, that I would not do it that way, and I really critiqued their thinking and decisions, but what I didn't have was the whole picture. Of course, because I couldn't have. I was in a contributor role and I didn't know the whole picture. I knew it from my viewpoint, and it's a natural thing, but whether you're a contributor now or you're an entrepreneur, those two sides sometimes don't see each other eye to eye. Probably because of the first thing I said, which is a lot of times once you're the boss, it's kind of lonely because you can't tell everyone everything. And so it takes a lot of respect and understanding to know that. And I almost want to, apologize to my old boss and say, man, remember that one time I came in and I told you were wrong? Yeah, now I had to do the same thing the other day, so now I get it. Anyway. I have also learned that being an expert at a task does not mean that that person will be good at managing that task. So we have some amazing people in lots of departments, and you would want to promote your best customer service rep to the manager. Whoa, I've learned the hard way on that one, that just because you're a great contributor doesn't mean that you would be a great manager. I've learned to never hire employees that need to be told what to do on a daily basis unless their job is repetitive and easy to train for. A little bit about what I just said. I've learned that there is a fine balance between creating process and structure and fostering innovation. It is really tough to get creativity and innovation from people when you also have to have structure and process in order to be efficient. It's a really fine balance. I've learned that no matter the level of experience or college degree, it's often beat by hard work, passion, and desire to win. I'll be honest with you, and this is no offense to college degrees whatsoever. I personally do not have one. I went to the U for a year and a half. That's not why I don't look. The reason I don't look is because by the time they get to me, I'm assuming that the department heads have already filtered through and made sure that they have the skills to do the job. But I'm looking for somebody who has a culture fit and their attitude and their discipline and their passion. Because I want to be surrounded by people who are positive and up every morning, ready to go and win. And so that's what I'm looking for. We have hired people with very impressive MBAs that I fired within weeks because it just takes a lot more than an impressive degree to get anywhere. I've learned that firing someone is one of the hardest things in business to do. However, it can be a gift that you give them to move on to something that is a better fit for them. I've learned that laying off someone is even harder because they didn't necessarily do anything wrong. I've I've learned that companies are teams, not families. How many times have you heard people say, oh, our company is such a family? Wrong. You can't pick your family. You can totally pick your company. You're stuck with your family. It is what it is, right? But a team gets to pick who's on it and hold each other accountable for their spot in the team every single day. I've learned to manage people to their strengths rather than penalize them for their weaknesses. I've learned that it's a lot more fun to build a company than manage one. And I've also learned that just because you hire more people does not mean that you will get more things done faster. I've learned that it is impossible to eliminate all bureaucracy as the company gets bigger, even with the very best of intentions. I've learned that there is as much reward as seeing someone on your team reach their goals as it is to reach your own, and ironically, they're the exact same. I've learned that while running your own business, there are amazing days and there are terrible days, but each one makes up for the other. There are very few average days. I've learned that many things you have to do in business have absolutely nothing to do with the business itself. I've learned that just because you're busy doesn't mean you're accomplishing anything. I've learned that when money is no longer an object, you realize it was never the object in the first place. I've learned that people do not get put into roles, they create a career for themselves. 2 more. I've learned that the business is not about your income, it's about the outcome. And if the outcome is good, everything else should fall into place. I've learned that entrepreneurs only see opportunity, not roadblocks. Anyway, that is my confessions of an entrepreneur. That's some of them. I won't read them all because I want to open up for some Q&A. But yeah, I've learned a lot. Even if the business, I think about it this way, because business is scary, and just because you create something bigger than yourself doesn't mean it can't fall. And there's a lot of fear in that, and it actually drives you over time to continue to succeed and do better and do more. But I've also learned that what you will always have no matter what is what you learned along the way. No one can take that from you. And the friendships and the relationships that you've built as well. Because at the end of the day, that's all that really matters in the first place. So anyway, thank you for listening, and I'd love to open up for any Q&A if anybody has any questions. Yes?
I just wondered about your marketing, and do you have people then that go out and search for these products, or are you the one that does that, or what?
Okay, good question. So the question is, who does the marketing, and am I the one that goes out and searches for these products? So our company now is broken up into many different departments. It did start with me doing everything. In 2008, I launched it in April of 2008, and it was me and my business partner, who's our CEO, and our garages. And so we did every job there was to do in the company for a full year. I still worked at KSL. I don't know how I did it. I left KSL 5 months later, but every lunch break, every morning before work, every night, every weekend was nothing but babysteals.com. And at work it was all, of course, about KSL.com. But when I finally left the company, that's actually one of the biggest mistakes that I made, was not believing enough in myself and my idea to focus on it full time. Had I done that, I would be in a much better position competitively than I am now. That being said, we did every job there was for the first year, and we did not pay ourselves, and we reinvested all profits back into the business. And we didn't get a warehouse until like a couple days before our 1-year anniversary. And mostly because the UPS guy was so tired of driving down my street and delivering these huge parcels to my door. He's like, I am not going to take stuff to your doorstep again. Anyway, now, I used to do all the buying, all the customer service, all the marketing, everything there was. So because there was nobody else to do it. But then the very first position we hired with our first round of profits was somebody in shipping. And the reason we picked shipping is, and as you grow, you want to piece off the easiest thing there is to do that anyone else can do. And at the time, buying a product was an art form. It still is. But it was very difficult to train for, and at the time, I was the only one that could do it. But teaching somebody to ship was not difficult. Now it's very difficult with, we've got a 35,000 square foot facility by Salt Lake International Airport, and we've got racks higher than you could ever dare climb up, and huge amounts of, it's a very sophisticated operation. But as far as actually putting products in a package and sealing it up, so we picked that because that was the easiest thing. And as we grew, then we piece off the next bit and the next bit and the next bit. That was easiest to do until in the end, I'm literally the president, have absolutely nothing to do with the day-to-day anymore. Meaning we're broken out pretty evenly. We have 5 full-time engineers in our development group. We have 8 customer service, 12 in shipping, and we have a buyer for every single website. So there's one person that does nothing all day but look for products for babysteals.com. We work directly with the brand. That's another big question I get. We'll contact the brand directly on the promotion of their product and are very particular about the types of products and the quality that we actually feature, because there's only 375 chances a year to get on my website, so your stuff better be really, really good. So I hope that answers your question. We're broken out pretty evenly along those lines. Yes?
When you started this company, did you have any issues with KSL as far as a non-compete? Did they?
So the question is, when I started the company, did I have a issue with KSL for a non-compete? No, the only non-compete I had with KSL is I couldn't go work for another television or radio station. There was no problem with me starting my own business. As a matter of fact, they were all quite large cheerleaders for me. I told them about my idea when I had it, and 4 of them work for me now. I recruited a few people. They don't like me right now, I'll tell you that. I did take a few, well that's not true. It took them about 6 months and then they got over it. Because there were some people that left and came to work for me. So I didn't necessarily recruit them though.
But I was wondering because you had the KSL.com you were doing, so that's really nice.
Well, KSL.com is an e-commerce. It's not e-commerce, it's just a news content platform. And what I created was very, 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 very different, yes. Yes, question?
How much has your vision for your business changed in 7 years?
Interesting. Okay, the question is, how much has the vision for my business changed in 7 years? The interesting thing about it is the business model has not changed at all. We started with 1 deal a day at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, and we still have 1 deal a day at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. What's changed is I started with Baby Steals. The night before I launched Baby Steals, I bought almost 500 domains that ended in steals, because I knew, holy smokes, it works for babies, and it's going to work for kids, and it's going to work for scrapbooking, because I was a big scrapbooker at the time. I haven't done one page since I started the store, but and I knew it would work for women, and I have, many, many, many others that, mostly for competitive purposes and growth purposes. So that's one element that did change, and but that was my vision. It just grew into, 4 websites. In fact, I should go back to that so you can see it. But the one thing that also has changed, that has changed more than anything, is I feel like, and I've been giving this portion for 2 years, I feel like the way we shop online now, one day we're going to laugh and say, oh my gosh, that was so 2D. Because what I want is when you come to steals.com every single morning, there's me or someone else that I hire that's okay on camera, that is talking about the daily deal, right? And showing it to you live and interacting with people live and saying, okay, look at this diaper bag. This is the steal a day on babysteals.com. It's by Jujubee. It's regularly $110, and right now it's $59.99. And this is a great brand. You can machine wash it, and here's the inside, and here's all the colors available. Very QVC-like, but the technology isn't there yet. And I've been talking about this for a very, very, very long time and waiting for the technology. There are apps that I do use to create this very thing, but right now I cannot embed it on my website. But what I want ultimately, because that in my mind is 3D buying, right? It's like QVC on steroids for the next generation. And because people can actually, you don't have a fake woman from Texas calling in and pretending she likes the jeans, right? It's really somebody who's commenting and saying, oh wow, can you show me the inside, and what are the measurements? And they can ask their own questions of the host as well as connect with each other. And that's one thing my company has done better than any online company that sells products that I've ever seen, is connect people, connect women that are like-minded together from all over the world. An example of that is this Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, we have 100 women flying in from everywhere from Russia to Florida for a scrapbooksteals.com scrapbooking retreat. So we've rented out a hotel very similar to this in Salt Lake City, and they're going to scrapbook all weekend. And we have all of the top vendors coming to give make and take classes, and I'm going to be broadcasting it online on a few of the cool streaming platforms so that all the customers that didn't get to go can watch and participate and talk to each other. And so that's just a little example. But did I answer your question about the future? So that, yeah, to me, the future is having a daily appointment, going somewhere, for our business at least, going to one of our websites, watching someone talk to you about it, being able to interact with them and other people, and be able to preview it later if you didn't get there on time. Don't tell anybody that though. Someone will copy me for sure. Yes?
How far out are you planning these deals for? Like, are you working on stuff for Christmas right now?
Yeah, so the question is, how far out do we plan? Yes, we are working on Christmas right now and stressing about January for many reasons. But we're typically, the products that are being shipped to our fulfillment center today won't hit the site for about 6 weeks. We're trying to shore that up for a lot of reasons that I won't bore you with, but it takes we're about 6 weeks in advance for ship date, and we're planning about 3 months in advance. Yeah. Yes, question?
Do you drop ship in a lot of cases? In other words, straight to the manufacturer?
Yeah, so the question is, do we drop ship? Meaning, I would put this up and I wouldn't have the inventory. The CloudWalk would do the shipping for us. We do not drop ship. The main reason for that is because of the customer experience. Most manufacturers, no offense to manufacturers and brands, but they suck at shipping. They don't have very good inventory management platforms. They make a lot of mistakes. They don't have as good of rates. And it really gets complicated with us because we ship to Canada, APOs and FPOs all over the world, the Army bases, as well as Australia, and as of this week, New Zealand. And so most of the manufacturers only ship to the 48, and then if we did a dropship with them, it would be really complicated because we'd have to say, oh, by the way, today, and like a million asterisks of what people are used to not having with our website. The other thing is, the other complication there is that with our 4 websites, people you can put items all in one cart. And so many times people are combining, the baby steal and the kid steal together, or a past steal, because you can hit the little, if you hover over, you can hit the past deals button, it brings up a search window and you can find anything we still have in stock and combine it with the daily deal or not. So, anyway. Any more questions? Yes?
You talked about hiring for culture. What do you specifically look for? Okay,
so the question is, hiring for culture, what do I look for? I look for something different than the hiring manager because they're looking for, they're clearly looking for somebody that they want to sit next to every day, but they're also looking for somebody with the skills to do the job. What I look for, even looking back, I'm mostly looking for personality fit. And that's really hard to say within a specific culture because I'm a really intense person, and so people that need to be told what to do every day aren't going to work very well for me, and they won't like me. And so I'm looking for somebody that has a ton of passion, and I'm looking for someone very resourceful, and I'm usually asking questions. Here's the questions I ask in job interviews. The first thing I say is, what do you know about us? And you will not believe how many people say, oh, you know what, I just saw the ad on KSL and figured I'd come on in and check it out. And I'm just like, okay, well, do you have any questions for me? Thanks for your time. Literally. And they're just like, whoa, okay. I've done that many times because that to me means you just want a job anywhere. It also means that you didn't do your research, and that you're just probably trying to keep your unemployment, to be honest with you. Because you have to go to a certain number of job interviews, and they stand out like a sore thumb to me. Anyway, and then the second question I ask is, so what do what do you know about us? What do you know about the position? Because believe it or not, some people say, well, it just looked like it was, you know, in customer service. But I want to know, because we put very detailed descriptions in our applications. And so I'm looking for someone who's resourceful, and answering those two questions correctly shows me passion and resource, because it means that you cared enough. I mean, believe it or not, it sounds so simple, right? It's not hard. But there are so many people that don't do it. Now I've trained the hiring managers to get those out of the way, and they don't. If they come to me not prepared, then oh boy. But I'm also I'm looking for drive and the willingness to create something versus just doing a job. If that makes sense. Yeah. And then the other thing about our culture is we're very we're servants of one another. Meaning, with the We Send Joy mission, to us it doesn't just mean sending them cool products that they're going to like at their doorstep. That's part of it. Because send means shipping, obviously, but and the joy, you know, they get happy when they get cool stuff. But it also means how we connect with them individually, both on social media and in the experience itself and in customer service, should that be necessary. And then it also means that daily we're broadcasting them something interesting, and we're sending them joy, even if they're not engaging with us in any other way, meaning making a purchase or commenting on something. We're still giving them something to do every single day, and the ability to connect with other people. This doesn't show it, but as you scroll down on our website, it'll show you all the different colors that you can buy, as well as comment and talk to other people about the Steal. All right, are we out of time? Okay, thanks you guys.